Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh shit. Should I leave my face on? Yeah, fuck it. I'll get. Nah, I like the cartoon version of myself better. So, anyways, what were we talking about? We were talking about your cookies, right?
Didn't you want to put your cartoon on?
Yes, I am gonna put my cartoon on.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so um, all right, so switch the topic from cookies
Yes.
to basically, all right. We actually on our last debate, we were hitting something more in depth when it comes to dating your outside of the norm.
Well, I call it outside of your community,
Mm.
since apparently we have communities here. So I don't like calling it outside of the norm because it just sounds weird.
Is it like there's a huge difference between like you just tasting the flavors of all different culture versus to actually finding your favorite restaurant.
Hmm. Yeah. Whenever we talk about these things, we're always talking about long-term relationships.
Yeah. So it's not so yeah, so what we're talking about is when you actually with someone from a long term, like, not just fucking the person, but actually being in a relationship 5 years and up, 5 years plus, basically, right? So on the last podcast, we were saying that we were talking about apologies and stuff, right? Why is it so hard for to say sorry to someone? And then that kind of reflect to based from our parents, and then to now we started talking about like from a community standpoint, why is it so difficult to not just apologizing, but the fear and vulnerability once you say I'm sorry, then people can actually use that against you to actually so then
Yes. So
the vulnerability.
we touched on, is that the reason why people feel a different experience something different when they step outside of their community and they partner with someone outside of their community? They have a slightly different experience with that, with their
Mm,
vulnerability. It feels less threatened, right? That's what you said. But I actually wrote down something as we were talking about it, because we touched on how the person feels when they finally experience something outside of their community, right?
mm,
And which was that they feel a breath of fresh air, and it's not femininity or a different race, you know, that is the the thing that's appealing, is being able to open up and share your vulnerable side without feeling like you're putting yourself in danger, right?
mm.
So, what if the people on the other side, the people in the community who hate those who have stepped outside, well, permanently almost, right? Because you're in a long term relationship. What if the hate that they feel towards, say, interracial couples stems from fear of being left behind?
Hmm. That is something that has been argued over and over again, right? There are some truth to that, to which when and the pressure is mainly on, let's say, for example, right, the pressure is mainly on the men, because we can all admit, right, that that men are the one that build society, and women, they nurture society, right? It's like they play this managerial role on the social construct of society, or the social construct of
So saying that
that
the men,
community.
the society, but the women are the ones who help prolong it.
Yeah, exactly. So then when a man decide to actually leave a community, it's almost as if like he's saying that I no longer want to build with the people that will not be able to maintain what I've built.
Well, yeah,
And
saying I'm leaving you guys behind, which isn't that the whole big issue with within the black YouTube that people have with the what do you call
SYSBN.
SBM, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because
so
that's they're saying, right? They're like, fuck it, let it burn, I'm out.
yeah, exactly, right? So which is like it is. I understand where they're coming from, right? But at the same time, people needs to do what's best for them. And if you can like if you cannot get along with a person, what's the point of being with them? Period.
Yeah,
Right? You know,
yeah,
you try your hardest, you do what needs to be done, and then you have good intention, but yet your effort is not being met with the other person. And there's a pattern, there's a consistency within that environment. So then why not try a different environment? And then once you actually able to find where you fit in, then what's wrong with that? Because a lot of these so-called quote unquote
ooh,
SYSBN,
something happened to your mic, but that just went nuts for a minute.
yeah, but like you have a lot of these guys and shit like that, right? Like I remember when growing up and shit like that, right? I used to be in the car just jamming, listening to some rock and roll, some crazy shit and stuff like that. And then if a friend of mine or a cousin or just come through in the car, I have to switch the channel. Like it was like, I mean, after a while, I didn't give a fuck. I would just do it. I mean, I would just like keep listening to my shit. But at the beginning, it almost feels like if I didn't listen to hip hop, I wasn't black, right? Or if I didn't, talk a certain way, I wasn't black. If I wasn't into certain genre of music or sport, whatever the case may be, I wasn't part of that culture. So then that emphasis put a lot of pressure on these guys to which now they feel like they don't belong in that community in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So
almost it's almost like they're not allowed to go and find where they belong, but they're not wanted here anyway, so they're just kind of stuck in limbo and expected to stay in limbo.
mhm. So it's like you're not allowed to be yourself, but you're not allowed to actually be yourself elsewhere neither.
Yeah.
So
What?
that is the issue now. And then, but here's the kicker, right? Here's the funny thing, because now once you step outside of your community, now you have a whole bunch of people that wish failure upon your endeavor,
Mm.
right? They wish for you to fail. To be like, yeah, you know what? Yo, this white bitch gonna fuck him over, blah
But
blah
doesn't
blah, right?
it happen when you're thriving in your community?
Yes, that happened as well too. That's the funny part.
So, like, unless you are down in the gutter where I am,
Hmm.
I hate you and I will do whatever I can to put you down in the gutter.
Yes, because at the end of the day, it's not about you actually stepping outside of your community. It's about success, period. And success is based on, it's an individual basis. If you are happy at where you are in life, you know, and to me, that's success.
Yeah.
So
But
that's
it,
what,
sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
So that's why you have like, let's say somebody like G Lowry, right? Even though, he's married to a black woman and shit like that, right? And he's still getting hated on because of his success.
I think he's getting hated on because he's not afraid to say it how it is.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. If you not being afraid of saying it how it is, and then now they're gonna find ways why they should hate you.
Yeah, it's like when I say, I'm not apologetic because there is nothing I have done to apologize for. Well, I apologize for the things I have done. I will not apologize for things I haven't done. And
Yep.
then automatically I'm called names.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't make sense. That's not even childish. That's ridiculous.
Hmm.
You know? And it's like I think it was Big J Triple X that recently said, I think he said it multiple times where he said, in order to be considered black, you have to be what's the word, ratchet.
Yeah.
And that's sad because then you're basically isolating yourself and segregating yourself not from the greater community, but you're segregating yourself from the people that actually have the means to build your community.
Yeah, I mean, like when you taking a look at, let's say, like love and hip hop and all this other shit, it's like these women, they are like middle class, upper class. Why are they behaving like they're like some cheap $2 hoe?
Because it brings reviews.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, but being on television and shit like that, right? Can't you not tell how you influence the next generation to behave
Yeah,
just
and
like you?
I sometimes I have to say sometimes my little guilty pleasure. I used to watch Love and Hip Hop with Amanda every once in a while, but I find myself I can't watch it for too long because I think that the longer I watch it, the more doubtful about my own relationship I get. It puts doubts in your mind. So I can't imagine somebody who is like so addicted to shows like that that they have to watch it multiple times a day. And I say multiple times a day because there's different locations, right? There's New York, there's
Yeah.
LA, Atlanta.
Mhm.
So the kind of fucked up mentality that can create is ridiculous. Like, um, you don't know who I'm talking about, okay? But there is this couple in Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're still in it, but they were. Yeah, Rashida and Kirk, and I used to love their relationship. And then I don't know what season it was. In some season, Kirk stepped out on Rashida and got a girl pregnant,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And everybody was saying, like, there were people who used to know Rashida before she got on Love and Hip Hop. And they were saying that she basically sold her soul and allowed that shit to happen just for the views and the money that it would bring because people were getting tired of her, lovely relationship.
Hmm.
I want to say that's ridiculous. I don't want to believe it, but then again, I know how people are towards happy couples.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense to me because people really do not like when long-term couples are happy.
Well, because like you were able to achieve something that they fail at. They failed at miserably, you know. And the thing about it though is like it's not because that the failure is not because that they had like one or two relationships that didn't work out or shit like that, right? It's because they never really tried to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's like how like when you're looking at it, right? If you're not selective of who you date, or who you try to get as a partner or stuff like that, then therefore that failure is inevitable, you know?
Why do you think people aren't selective about their partners?
Well, when you, okay, the thing about it is like there are certain requirements, there are certain expectation when it comes to in a relationship, right? And some people cannot meet those expectations. So then therefore they get with someone that will actually accept them for who they are. So say for example, if a person is ratchet, right? Then she won't be able to actually get with a Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant would have to take that person to places. They would have to be in certain environment to which now she's gonna put him in a position to which she's gonna embarrass him.
You see, I think the reason people, especially women, I can't speak for men, but I think the reason women aren't selective, they just kind of give it up to whoever's willing to take it, is because they have very low self-esteem. So they're just gonna go and give their all, which is basically a woman's body, right? Give her all to whoever wants to the man that wants it because that's the best she believes she can do.
That that is part of it, but the other part has to do with the fact that like if you don't have to change, then you have to get with someone that's not gonna care whether or not you change.
Well, then you get your type, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. You get the type. Water seeks his own level. Same way that like these guys. It's like the same way like these guys they get themselves with those type of female that would allow them to do certain shit, and then now whole and behold they try to and they get mad when they don't. It's It's hard to explain. It's like, you're dealing with a certain type of chick, and then want to qualify every woman are like that because that's the best you can actually get. You
Well, that's
understand
like
what I'm saying?
it kind of reminds me of this guy that's on O'Shea's channel sometimes. Um, I think his name is Ramil or something of the sort.
Hmm.
Apparently, he's a porn star, so it's just kind of like I don't really know what his views is, so I'm not speaking on that. But it's just like it's hard to kind of listen to someone who's talking about women seriously when his only perspective on women recently is within the porn circle,
Hmm.
because that's a specific type of female.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm. Well, here's the funny thing, right? It's like the argument is usually tend to be, well, no, women, they can, nobody's above some fuck shit, right? And women, they have no limit. They can do a whole bunch of crazy shit, whatever the case may be. Yes, listen, we all are capable of doing some very dirty stuff, right? We all can do some freaky shit sometimes. But what separate us from the animal
What kind
is
of stuff are you talking about?
what happened.
So what kind of dirty stuff are you talking about? What do you
Uh,
mean freaky shit?
well,
Like
okay,
perverted shit or just like
yeah, exactly,
oh,
perverted shit, or whatever the case may be, right?
that's different than like it takes a specific kind of mentality to be within the porn industry, you know?
Yes, it does. But however, it's like all that shit is a habit that is being trained. That's why you have a lot of people that are in the porn industry, especially women. They end up developing an addiction because they have to try to escape
Well,
themselves
yes,
from.
but the reason I mentioned that is like how can you speak on women issues if that's the women that you are around? Then you can only speak on the female issues within the porn industry. So it's a specific
Yes.
niche,
Hmm.
right?
Yep. But what these guys try to do is like, they base their assumption based on the lowest common denominator.
But it's not just guys; women do it too.
Yes,
You
that
know?
is true. So, and that's my point. It's like, okay, if you base your assumption on the lowest common denominator, and then you say something like, well, you know what? All women are capable of doing that. All men are capable of doing that. But now you also want to look down on the type of people that don't want to do that, right? And then
Mm.
now you try to like, that's when you just be like, oh, you just a simp. Oh, you got married, you got this, you got that. It's like, really, dude? Really? That's what you're gonna go for?
Because
And
you know,
it's,
it's not, what was it that Minister Jab said? Your mouth is in a toilet.
yeah, exactly, right? So
Oh,
because they are, because they have no control over themselves, right? They are overly sexualized. So then they assume that everybody should also be
yeah,
just as
and they
sexualized
don't
as
think
they are.
everyone is that way. They assume that that is the right way to be.
Hmm.
That is so strange.
Well,
It's,
I mean,
they
it's not strange though. It's not strange because like if everybody's doing it, then it's normal.
yes, but then again, everybody's doing it, including women, but it's wrong for them to do it.
Well, that is from one perspective. For the women, it's wrong for the men to do it. It goes
Mm.
back to the pointing fingers again.
Yeah, because women will be like, I wouldn't be doing it if he wasn't doing it.
Exactly.
It's trying to figure out what came first, the chicken or the rooster.
Yeah.
Fuck the egg, man. That's not even part of the equation. That's just an afterthought.
Now, so now back to the whole interracial relationship thing, right? It's like um the guys that are leaving the quote unquote community and shit like that, right? These were the guy that did not have the quote unquote nigga juice.
I think
So
that was Clutch who said it first, wasn't it?
yeah, exactly. Yep. So
That
let's
was
give credit where credit is due. But
yeah.
however, he's also the thing as well too, right? Because like the like I was talking to my brother-in-law, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the chance to complain about my mom and all this shit. And then
Mother-in-law. Oh yeah, yeah, yep.
yeah, and then he was like, "Man, Haitian parents, if you listen to them, they're gonna be the one that's breaking your family apart."
Yep.
you know,
But that's in
I'm
any
like,
parent. That's
yeah,
not just.
and then I'm like, dude, I know. Why the hell you think it's like? And then I was telling him, I'm like, yo, had I got me a Haitian girl, my mom would have been like all up in our fucking
All about
relationship,
your business.
all up in my business, stuff like that, right? So in a way, it's like the fact that she would be out of her comfort zone, she would not be able to dictate how things go, or she would not be able to try to control you in order to control me. So then that kind of put her at a disadvantage when it comes to my relationship. You know,
Yeah.
it's petty and sucks in a way, but the
Who
funny
are
thing
you
about it is like,
to be though? Is that a disadvantage when it comes to your relationship though?
well, because she's a control freak,
Yeah. And most
right?
mothers are. With
Yeah,
single mothers,
exactly. Yeah, most mothers are. So the fact that like, so me staying away from, let's say, Haitian women, it was like me staying away from my own mother.
it always goes back to but your mama black.
Yes,
It's
it
like
comes down to that. I'm not gonna deny it. There's an aspect to that, and it's like, and it has nothing to do with being disrespectful to the mother. Is the fact
yeah,
that there are certain dynamic to which you no longer want to deal with as an adult. You
yeah,
know, if you cannot have your own destiny in your own hand when you have, someone that's just try to control your life, despite the fact that like you can't do that no more, and it's annoying.
yeah.
You know.
But you want to say it about it being within Haitian your Haitian mom, but my grandfather does the same exact thing. He hates my aunt. You know my aunt, right?
Yep.
Um, he hates her because she doesn't baby her husband.
Mm.
You know how my grandfather is babied, right? Like
Yeah,
all he has to do
exactly.
is
Spoiled and
eh,
shit.
eh, it's hot, and my grandma's running around everywhere with a fucking fan trying to, that kind of shit. Part of my French. Women aren't supposed to swear.
I
Um,
don't give a fuck.
I just love saying that because it pisses me.
Oh yeah.
But and so he hates Lucina because she doesn't do that to her husband. Like she treats her
Mm.
husband like a grown ass man.
Yep.
And he hates it. He hates her for it. Like he literally expects his son to be like served hand and foot, the same way my grandma did to him. And it's like if you look at their relationship right now, my grandma and my granddad, my grandma's just waiting for his ass to die.
Mm.
I know it sounds horrible, but that she is because she spent her entire life. They've been together for like what 60 years at least.
Yep.
Um, yeah, they had their 50th wedding anniversary like 20 years. Well, no, I'm over exaggerating. More like 11, 11, almost 12 years ago. So yeah,
Mm.
60, 61, 62 years together. So my grandma's just, my grandma has the type of personality that she goes along to gets along, right? She hates arguing. She's just like, oh, I'm just gonna do what he says to keep the peace. It's like, God damn, for 60 years you've just been doing that shit. Do you realize he's not gonna stop? He's just getting worse. And just now, and only recently, my grandma's discovering her voice to just say, no, I'm not gonna do it. And all of a sudden, he's like kind of, stepping in line. I know it sounds horrible, but, he's at that age where he's got Alzheimer's, his health is deteriorating, and my grandma's not allowed to be sick.
Yep.
Never mind, okay, that she is 2 years older than him. So
Man, listen,
uh,
like
a whole
I'll
lot of
like
stuff getting sidetracked. Anyway, but that's what it's like. So it's like, so it's not. It's like my grandfather's like all up in my uncle's business, trying to get my aunt to kind of like do this to do for my uncle the same thing that my grandma did for him. But my uncle and my granddad are completely two different personalities. My uncle hates that kind of shit.
see, this is also the other thing as well. Like, when it comes to, dating interculturally or interracially and shit like that, right? It's like both families now don't want to misstep because they do not know the other person's culture.
Yeah, I like that.
Hell yeah, I like that.
I
Just
like that. I like the fact that my family will not try and infringe on our relationship.
the same way my family will not try to infringe on our relationship. You know,
Yeah,
so it's like the only connection that they have of our little bubble is us.
yep,
If we do not invite them, and they cannot just invite themselves in.
yes, yes. I think a lot more couples need to be able to do that, to set boundaries to a point where it's like, if you want to come over, you need to call first.
Yep.
It's like recently I told my mom, right? She just came back from the States because she's like, I only, I want to be around my parents for as long as I can. And, my mom kind of has a similar personality to my grandma. So she just kind of babies my granddad for some weird reason. So I looked at my mom and I told her straight up, listen, don't expect me to do that to you when you're old. But if you want to help me, the best way you can help me is to let me be on my own for as long as you possibly can.
Mm.
I know it sounds horrible, but stay healthy
Yeah.
because I just recently got, moved away from you people. I don't want to have to, take you back into my house in the next 5 years. It sounds horrible, but it's damn true.
You know what it
Parents,
is like,
parents
and
in
I
your
think
life.
here's the thing, right? I think it's even harder because, especially over time, right? What we were talking about before is like when your parents never actually created that bond with you, or had that bond but actually lost it due to the fact that they can never actually say sorry when they're wrong,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So then that resentment still remains because it's like it's a conflict that never got resolved. So
well,
then
it's
now
like,
you're gonna have to take care of your parents, but you don't want to take their shit neither.
yes. So you have to set those boundaries now. That's why I was like I was saying, I don't care if she apologized for the past, but if she mistreats me now, you're gonna apologize, or I'm not gonna talk to you. And yes, I am that way.
It's funny because like when there was a period of time I wasn't talking to my mom, right? And everybody was like, before, like, oh, you know how your mom is, blah 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 blah. Now, well, that's she's the way she's because that's what everybody kept saying, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I just held the line, man, and like
Yeah,
at the
because
end
you
of the day, yep,
talk to
at the
she can talk to me herself.
exactly at the end of the day, now she knows not to talk to me any type of way anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And every time she just even try to do it, then I put her in her place. And then if she like, continue to test my boundaries, then that's when I'm like, you know what, mom, I'll talk to you some other time.
I'll talk to you later, right? And then you
Yeah,
just don't talk to
exactly.
her for a couple of weeks. She kind of gets the message.
Yeah. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's I think that is the lack of control
Do you
within
think that
their
helps with
own.
fear? Like especially women with their sons and their daughters. Once the son and daughter steps out of the community and finds a partner outside of the community, then all of a sudden they lose that. That's when the umbilical cord is definitely cut.
Yeah,
So then it is the fear of being left behind.
it is. It is a fear of being left
I'm going
behind.
to use this lady the lady from Seattle that is promoting recording interracial couples. So if I remember correctly, if I heard right, she has brothers who are in interracial relationships,
Hmm.
and she has nephews and nieces that are interracial.
Yep.
So her hatred, I think, stems from the one being the one that's left behind. She's the one that doesn't have a partner. Period. From this
Mm.
thing.
Yeah. And
So
the
that's where that is coming from.
well, yeah. I mean, like like our action a lot of times stems from somewhere,
Yes.
right? Somewhere personal to us.
It's always a psychological thing.
Yeah, there is a psychological trauma that actually be able to trigger some of that reaction to actually get us to where we are now.
Yep. A lot of our
So,
actions projections. Yes.
oh yeah, exactly. So then when I see some of these rhetorics stuff like that, right? Or the entire or even like, this dude just died, Kobe, and then some chick came out of nowhere just automatically focusing on the fact that he married outside of his race. And to me,
Because
it's
that's
like,
important when he's dead.
yeah, exactly. So let's think about the whole resource thing for a minute, right? So,
Hmm.
like, yeah, you like you and I and stuff like that. You know my plans, and you supported my plans. You support my plans 100%, right?
Yeah.
And the sacrifice that I'm making and shit like that is because I'm trying to build some. I'm trying to build something that is that's supposed to have a greater influence on my community, right?
Yeah.
And the you falling in love with me now had you fallen in love with my culture,
Yes.
you know,
I
to
always
which
like
you could
I have adopted the Haitian people as my own, whether they like it or not.
exactly, you're cooking Haitian food, you're doing a whole bunch of crazy shit. I'm like, yeah, yeah, you know, and
What do you
it's
mean
fucking
doing a whole
awesome.
bunch of crazy shit? I'm not practicing any voodoo in here, okay? I mean, I can just piss me off enough, you know.
You're practicing voodoo. Oh man, yo, but like what I mean is like you want to know more about my culture because understanding my culture is understanding me a lot deeper,
Yes, absolutely.
right? So that's like just like that's my motivation with try to learn Polish because understanding the Polish culture, then I get to understand you more by also like have being able to talk to your family, all that shit, right?
Mhm.
So then we both kind of fall in love with each other's culture and whatnot, and
Mhm.
in a sense, it kind of broadened our experience in the world.
Yes.
But like as far as now me doing what I'm trying to do and stuff like that, right? Being fine in a financial situation to which I can leave behind something, not only for my kids, but also something for my own community
Yeah.
and to which you are now a part of and shit. So it's like
Exactly.
from a personal financial perspective, well, yeah, dog, you're my chick. Obviously, you got that financial security, right? Nothing to it, you know. So then it kind of feels like when these people said that, well, the money Kobe left behind, it's not gonna go for the black community and shit like that, blah blah blah. But it's like Kobe in a whole different tax bracket, and you never know what type of charity he participated in, what type of donation he was able to give, or
Well, see,
foundation, and all this shit.
this is why I said earlier that Kobe was apparently a devout Christian, because whatever the motivation, Christians donate.
Hmm.
Sorry,
And and now it's like I'm looking at some of this shit, right? Let's say, for example, like let's say if I passed away right now, right, and I have like $1 million, whatever the case may be, right,
mm,
and then my family take that $1 million and actually just squander it. They didn't buy any investment, they
what do
didn't
you
buy anything. They just like
mean?
live their best life for the next 6 months to a year, and after that, they went broke again.
Okay, but what do you mean by your family? Like your family or me and the kids?
No, I'm talking about like my family, like my moms, my sisters, and all this
Okay,
shit,
okay, yep, yep.
right? That would really piss me the fuck off,
Oh,
you know?
really? You'd be up in heaven screaming your ass off?
Yes.
Okay.
Be like, you motherfucker, why the hell you have to buy them Gucci bags, huh? Why couldn't you fucking buy a whole fucking house with it?
Or a new dress for graduation?
Yeah, you know,
Sorry,
and shit like
sorry,
that.
that's a low blow, but
Yeah. So that's my point. It's like there's a level of loyalty that comes with it too. It's like getting with you, at an early age and getting to know you and all that stuff. So the history that we have with each other supersede any skin color.
yeah,
So then why do I need to have this unfounded loyalty to people that only share skin color with me? Doesn't make any sense. So you gotta have, to for me to do something in a community, I gotta have this bond. I gotta have something that is memorable, like a piece of me that actually that I had an awesome time with, and I want to create that opportunity to those that want it. You know,
Right.
when I'm ready to do shit and hate it, stuff like that, right? I'm not gonna just go and just give money to everybody and shit like that that come across my way. No, fuck that shit. You're gonna work for it. You're gonna earn it. You know, and that's the problem with people that just want to get shit for free. That don't want to earn it.
Yeah. All right. We need to start a new podcast because on that topic, I have something interesting to say that's going to spawn a whole new conversation, and we're already at 35.
Gotcha.
But it's not the topic.
All right, good. So on that note, we're gonna put a pin on it, and then we're gonna go for the next one. All right, this is Art Banaka.
And serious
So share, like, subscribe, and comment.
comment.
Yes. Peace.
Bye, everyone.
Mwah.
Mwah. Love you, Daddy.
Love you too, sexy.